Hello there.
Hi.
And I'm Jared,
And I'm Paul.
and welcome to FreezeCast. This is the monthly podcast where we talk movies and fun.
Mostly movies.
Mostly movies, but we have fun.
We have a great time doing this. It's a lot of fun for us.
It's
for me anyway. I'm speaking for myself now.
I have fun. This
It's
is
fun for me. Okay.
This is a good start. We're
is.
wide awake. We're ready to roll.
Yeah.
We're having fun.
Always having fun.
So, have you seen any good movies lately?
Let's see. Yes, I have. I have seen Jurassic World #2, and I have seen Incredibles #2. And it seems like it's a sequel theme today.
Yes, it is.
Hey,
you
look at
got
that.
it.
Put it together.
You put it. We're talking sequels. We're talking the two sequels we've seen because we haven't seen Ant-Man and the Wasp yet.
But that's coming up soon.
It's coming up.
It's actually out in theaters now, and we will be seeing it when we can figure out a time to go.
But we're not talking about that today.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about the sequels we've actually seen.
Alrighty then. And you've seen The Incredibles 2 how many times now?
3 times.
3 times, and I've seen it twice.
I've really liked it.
That tells you that there's something about that film.
Real good.
Am I off track or am I just diving in?
No, we're diving in.
Okay.
So we're starting with Incredibles 2.
Good, because that's what I want to talk about right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, what were you telling me the other day? Brad Bird had said if he's going to make a sequel, he wants it to be as good as, if not better than, the original.
Yes,
That was why it took him 14 years to put Incredibles 2 together.
Yeah, because he had story elements, like little bits that he wanted, but he didn't have like a mesh yet.
The whole script wasn't flashed out.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So he had ideas that kind of just came to him. He's like, "Oh, that's good. We might be able to use that."
Yeah, I get that.
And then he had ideas from the first one that he's like, "Oh, I didn't get to use that, so we'll put that in
We'll
here.
add that in as well.
We'll add in Gooey Jack."
Right, okay. I'm like gooey Jack. All I remember is the fire retardant system.
I'll tell you about Gooey Jack in a minute.
Okay.
So let's start out. No spoilers for the
Well,
first
you just
one.
spoiled it. You said gooey Jack.
That's
How's
not
that?
a spoiler.
Okay.
That doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense to me, no. And I saw the movie twice.
So there you go. I understand. I get myself.
Now, as with any Pixar film, you got to look for the Pizza Planet truck because it showed up in every Pixar film since Toy Story 1.
So the first Pixar film.
Yeah. Yeah, and they are very sneaky at getting that sucker in there. But they've done it once again.
And
I missed it the first time, but the second time I was looking for it. And I caught a glimpse, which is about all you're going to get is a glimpse.
yeah.
So all the people out there saying, "Oh no, they missed it this time." No, it's there. I've seen it.
And then they have a couple A113s thrown in for good measure.
Yeah.
I noticed at least 2. There might be more.
Okay. I for sure noticed one humongous one. You can't
Right,
really
yeah.
miss that near the end of the film. So look for that as well. But I'm sure it's in there a couple more times. There's plenty of opportunity for it.
So let's start out with just a quick synopsis. What's the film about?
It's about the Incredibles. It's Mr. and Mrs. Incredible, and it picks up right after the other one ends. So with Flash's track meet and then the Underminer
It's
showing.
Dash.
Oh, right, Flash. I'm getting my superheroes confused. Thank you for correcting
Yeah, no
that.
problem.
Dash is fast, Flash is... Okay, so anyway...
Flash is fast.
The film picks up at the end of the first film, even though it's 14 years later, but the cast is the same, and the characters are the same, and everybody's playing the same age. However, in this one, instead of focusing on Mr. Incredible, it focuses on Elastigirl, or Mrs. Incredible.
Yeah, whatever one.
Because we know that Bob is just messing stuff up. I mean, he's just an insurance nightmare. Everything is destruction, which basically he's the reason the supers were banned in the first film.
Yeah, a little bit.
Other people contributed, but it was his damage to the city and all the lawsuits that pretty much
Blowing up a train track.
Yeah.
Saving a...
blew up a building,
Suicide
destroyed some
victim.
streets. Yeah, he did a lot of damage, saving the suicide guy and breaking his neck and getting sued. So
Thank you, Peroxide.
it's like, yeah, I saved your life. So in the first film, that's what happens to Bob, and they have to go underground. And then, of course, Syndrome comes along and brings the supers back in a way. He sets it up to bring the supers back, but then he screws it up at the end of that film. In this film, there's an advocate to bring the supers back.
Yeah.
To say, hey, we miss these guys. They did a great job. And unfortunately, the news reports only show the damage being done. It doesn't show the actual acts of heroism that save people's lives and save whatever's going on in the city by catching the bad guy. So the premise of this film is to have the superheroes be noticed for their heroic acts and then bring them back into society as accepted, hey, we need the superheroes. We really can't live without them because there's so many bad guys out there. That's the premise of the film that I got.
That's pretty much it.
So in this one, they focus on Elastigirl being the better hero because she does a lot less damage.
So yeah, so that's just a little bit of a synopsis in case you guys don't know. Compared to the first, we're just gonna do some comparisons. Story-wise, which one did you like more?
Oh, that's too hard to say.
Okay.
They were both very good stories.
They're really good.
I thought it was fun, and I think Samuel Jackson's character just ties the whole thing together. So when Frozone shows up, it's going to be a good.
It's a good
film.
fun. It's a good time.
He's a good time.
It's a good time.
Yeah. What am I saying?
I don't know. I said fine instead of time.
All right. The stories. Well, they are similar stories, but different stories. So, again, going back to what I said originally, when Brad Bird said he was going to sit down and do a second film, he wanted to be as good as or better than the first. And he's definitely done that. Which one's better, I couldn't tell you. I like them both equally well. They both stand up. A lot of times you get a sequel that's going to be completely different or off on a different tangent. This kept the theme of those two films tied together very well.
Yeah, because they kept the family aspect of it, and that's the core of this movie.
Yeah, it's the thread that holds the whole thing together.
Yeah, and these two is that family theme in it.
Which is amazing in this day and age, that a family theme with both a mother and a father, who are straight, by the way, well, because we live in this world of integrated families, that they are a traditional family. And the setting is kind of 1950, 1960, even though there's some modern things that go on in and around that.
Yeah, a little bit.
But to have that core value of the family and have all of the children who fight amongst themselves getting along together, that's really a good feeling film about what's going on with it. Because you don't see that in society anymore. And there are still traditional families out there.
Yeah, yeah. Animation-wise, this one's much better. And there's... because they had so much trouble with the first one. Because no one knew how to do muscles. No one knew how to do hair. Because they hadn't needed to do that before Incredibles 1.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Toy Story, everything's hard plastic and wood. And so it's stiff and it doesn't move and it doesn't flex. And that makes sense. Well, in over 14 years, you would hope that animation techniques and styles have improved, which they greatly, greatly have.
But
so yes, overall, the visuals in this are much higher quality.
Yeah, they really improved that, and it's good to see. It's good to see that animation's moved on, and just some of the stuff they're able to do now. It's kind of awesome.
It really is. Yeah, they've got a lot going on, and yes, it's still frame by frame, but the action sequences are so much better as well. They figured out a way to say we can do a lot in a very short time span.
That was going to be my next point, is how do you think the action scenes are better in this one?
I do think the action scenes are better in this one. The story was more driven. No, the story's driven the same in both.
Yeah.
But the action is definitely more at play in this one.
Yeah, it feels...
You've got chase scenes, you've got fight scenes, you've got a lot of things going on. The first one attempted.
Yeah, it feels higher quality. There are longer scenes as well with the action. So, because they had more time to be able to...
Yeah, which brings up the point. This is a 2-hour movie. The first one was, what, an hour and a half?
That one was almost 2 hours.
Oh, almost 2 hours. Never
Yeah,
mind.
it was like 15 minutes off of that.
But this is a 2-hour movie, which is rare for an animated film. Most of the time, you're getting about 90 minutes, an hour and a half.
I think it's the longest animated film out there. I think.
Probably is.
Yeah.
And it's doing super well at the box office. The nice thing is, with it being so long, the action keeps you involved. I mean, there's not a slowdown in the movie at all where you say, oh, is this still going on? You sit down and it's start to finish. You're going, that was 2 hours? That one flew by.
Super fast paced and
Yeah, which is great. That's what you want in a film. You want it to keep your attention the whole time.
yeah, it really keeps you going. And then the last one is the villain. I like the villain of the first Incredibles. I like Syndrome better.
Syndrome was an over-the-top character. The villain in this one is definitely more subtle, but somewhat predictable.
Yeah.
I mean, you can kind of see it coming, and if you're over the age of 12, you can definitely see it coming. But then you second-guess yourself a little bit, and you're like, oh, is it this person or is it this person? Oh, wait, no, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so you kind of go back and forth a little bit right at the beginning with the villain.
But I like Syndrome's over-the-topness, and that's just...
Yeah, because he takes superhero-ism to a whole new level. It's like, I guess it's villainy, yeah.
Yeah.
Because he wants to be the superhero, and he takes it over the top to say, well, I've got all the power you have, even though it's all technology-based.
Yeah.
He was a fun villain. This one, I think, is a more realistic villain for our time.
With all the superhero movies. It kind of fits in better with that genre. But I don't know, I have a soft spot for Syndrome. He's hilarious and fun.
Big S on his shirt.
It stands for soft spot.
There you go. Yeah.
So there you go. They're both really good films. And they're just fun.
It was well worth the wait. I mean, there's a little clip at the very beginning before they even play the Pixar short that has the cast and the director, Brad Bird, and they're talking about how this film took so long because they wanted to make it a good film. And then they actually say, thanks for waiting. But that doesn't spoil anything.
It's just them standing
camera,
in booths and stuff going like, all right, here we go, next take or whatever, you know?
Yeah. And they're like, we had a lot of fun doing this. Thanks for being patient with us. We know it's been a long time.
Yeah.
And that's about it. But it's nice that they did that, I thought, because people have been saying, when's the next Incredibles? When's the next Incredibles? And Brad Bird's been saying, well, I've got other things I want to do with my life. He went out and made a Mission Impossible film. He's done
He did Ratatouille. He did Tomorrowland.
So he's been busy. Yeah. It's not like he's been slacking off. He's been busy, and he wants to get this script down exactly right. And he did. He did a good job with this.
Next one I want to talk about is the short that you mentioned. Did you like it?
It is interesting. I've heard that because it's a cultural-based film, and I believe it's a Chinese culture, it could be Korean or anyway, it's Asian, but it looks to me like it's Chinese.
Yeah, it's like
but it's
Chinese in Canada because that's where the director is from.
Oh,
they're from Canada of Chinese descent.
Okay, then that makes more sense why the blonde girl shows up.
Yeah, so they're like Asian Canadian.
Which is a big thing. There's a lot of immigrants. We talk about immigrants in the U.S., but there's a lot of people who immigrate to Canada as well, especially from the Asian countries. I know Filipinos and Chinese people do that. So that short, being culturally based in an Asian culture, threw me off a little bit. It was weird.
But it's also
it's the best way I can describe it.
It's also really interesting, though.
And it was endearing, and it had its moments. And it was heartfelt, but it was weird.
Oh, well, yeah, okay, yeah. There are parts where it gets a little weird. But I liked it to go in front of Incredibles 2, because that one's also about family.
It is, yes.
And in a different way, but yeah.
Definitely in a different way. And again, it's a cultural thing, and so it's been getting some slack, from what I understand.
A little bit of people just being like, I don't get it.
Yeah, it's like, what was that? And then other people are going, well, it makes total sense to me.
There's been like a Twitter war.
Yeah, so it's basically a mother wants to protect her child. And has a hard time with him growing up and leaving home.
Yeah.
And maybe I spoiled that one. That's the storyline I got out of it.
No, it...
But you've got to see it. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you what happens in the story.
That's a good I don't think that's a spoiler.
Okay. But it's a very interesting interpretation. Mm-hmm. But as you say, the director is a Chinese Canadian. Mm-hmm. And so he's taking his culture and...
Well, she
is taking her culture and what she has learned. So it integrates. And that's the world we live in now, is a very integrated world where we're mixing cultures together and taking little bits from each thing. So it's good for people to look at and learn and say, this is something that I hadn't thought about, in a way I hadn't thought about it.
And it's good to kind of see that diversity on the big screen and see, even if it's just a little short right now.
Yeah.
It's good to start getting that integration.
Well, the nice thing is with Pixar, they don't need words. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no dialogue to it. It's just animation and
some sound effects.
Yeah.
And then the music.
So you can play that around the world and you'll get the same response, which is nice. Mm-hmm. I like that Pixar does that, because the other option would have been subtitle it, and that would have made any sense.
Yeah, that would have made it harder, I think,
so
to
again,
get the message.
With the cultural diversity that we're talking about, that plays the same wherever you play it, and you don't need to know the language to know what's going on, which is nice. So they did a great job with that. And again, well animated, well directed, just an odd story for my normal white male value system. I don't know. The culture of it is something I have to integrate.
Last part I want to talk about before we get to our quick little verdict on this. There's been some controversy with Incredibles 2. Because people are idiots, and I.
Okay, and what's the controversy? It's an animated film.
It has mild language in it.
Oh, the mild language.
The mild language controversy.
Yeah, so we're a PG content-based web podcast, right? So I can say crap is what I'm saying.
We can say crap.
Because Mr. Incredible says the word crap. And people are freaking out and going, I took my child to see this, and they said it was a... Well, it's a PG movie. It's not a G movie, so they can say crap. And there was a couple other words, too.
And there was heck, but the actual word...
Hell and damn. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah.
Which, to me, I don't even count those as swear words, because I grew up in England, and in England... Those aren't swears. They just... I mean, you use it in the same language, so I guess you could consider it a swear, but I never did. And my parents never did. So I grew up saying hell and damn. And people are like, oh, you're bad. And I'm like, what the crap are you talking about? So basically everything I just said shows up in the film, and parents are freaking out. Not everyone, but some parents
are freaking out about it a little bit, going like, oh, this is a kid's movie. And then Brad Bird has gone on Twitter and saying, this is not a kid's movie. I didn't write Incredibles 2 for a 4-year-old demographic.
Right. He wrote a story, and that story, if it was a live-action film, would probably have a PG-13 rating.
Yeah, possibly.
And again, he kept the language with today's culture. It's a PG, it's not a G, so I'm not going in thinking this is Frozen and everybody's going to be happy and singing songs. That's not the kind of film it is. It's not a musical, and it's not the typical Disney princess.
Yeah,
in fact, there's no princesses in it, so yeah, it's a little edgier. And for there only to be 3 words in the film,
yeah,
I think they did a great job with having the content of being a superhero film that's edgy.
Yeah.
And conversely, the same kids and their parents are going out and seeing Infinity War, and they're seeing Captain America, and they're seeing all these films that there is language. Now, yes, you might expect it to show up there, but the same people are seeing those films, and because they expect it, they don't complain. But because this is animated, they want to complain.
But it's in the PG rating, and it's just it's like PG for action sequences.
Because it's not even strong language.
Yeah, it's mild language.
Yeah,
is what
it's mild language. So I just think it's funny that parents freak out for stupid reasons. It's like, but you take your kid out, and the first word in Age of Ultron is a curse word coming out of Iron Man.
We can't say that on the podcast.
And Cap just goes, language. So if Bob Parr says something and goes, oh crap, does Dash turn around and go, language, Dad? And now it's a joke and everybody thinks it's funny. But he still said the word. You know, it's like in one film it's okay and you can get away with it. Yes, that was a PG-13 rating where this is a PG rating. But my point is, that the audiences are very similar.
And then there's been other things on Twitter of people going like, "Oh yeah, it's good, but there's some long conversations in this movie, and my kid got kind of bored. So when you're making Incredibles 3 or whatever, maybe cut down the long dialogue for a kids movie." He's like, "It's not a kids movie."
Yeah, again, you've got exposition. You've got the villains that are rambling on. You've got adult conversations that are taking place, talking about the emotions of why they're doing what they're doing and what motivates them. And I get that there's a scene with Elastigirl and somebody else, and that's kind of a long scene. But it's also a tender scene. You get to know each character on a deeper level. And it's like, yes, they care about their family and their career and everything that's going on in the world. And so it touches on these points that, yeah, it's going to be over a 4-year-old's head. But in my opinion, it wasn't that long a scene.
No, it's not. It's only a couple minutes, but it's this really deep conversation.
But it makes sense for the film. It's character development. And yeah, 4-year-olds don't care about character development. They want to see, oh, there's Mr. Incredible in his suit and he's got some action and he punched a guy. Cool. That's it. They have the attention span of
A 4-year-old.
a 4-year-old. Yeah, exactly. So I'm with Brad on this one. Brad Bird said it's not a child's film. It's not. And it's like, you know what? Your kid can suck it up and be eating juju bees at that point. I don't care. They can come back into the film when the action starts up.
So there we go. What would you rate Incredibles 2?
I'd put it at a 9 or a 10. I mean, it's right up there.
It's
now
it good.
it is good. And just putting it in that perspective, I have to say it's better than the first one. When I first started this conversation, I said they're about equal ground. This one is a notch above.
I'm still deciding where I'm putting
Incredibles
this
2,
one.
I'm going to put Incredibles 1 about an 8 and this one a 9, 9.5.
Okay.
But again, Brad Bird's writing and directing on this, he just knows how to reach an audience.
Yeah.
And let's say he did the Mission Impossible number 4.
Yes.
And I love that film. Did a great job with that film. And I'm like, wait, this is the animator guy from Pixar is doing this action film with Tom Cruise in a series. And he did such a great job with that. And I'm like, a whole new level of respect for Brad Bird after that. And to see him come back again and do Incredibles, I'm like, I like this guy a lot. He's a good director, a good writer.
It's really good. I would suggest seeing it in the theater if you can.
Oh, definitely.
It's great.
Now, we do have one spoiler, though. And that's the English. In England, there is an advisory. Because there's one scene, and they're like, oh, this may cause epilepsy.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of flashing lights, and that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
And it goes on for a good 10, 15 seconds.
It's a bit longer than that. It's like...
It's 30 seconds, maybe.
Yeah.
So in England, they focused on that and said, okay, we're going to put an epilepsy warning for anybody who is prone to that.
Like the news put it up, and then here... They just have like a little piece of paper at the ticket counter is all I saw. It's like, Disney said there's an epilepsy warning, so be careful out there.
Yeah, and it's because there's a lot of pulsing, flashing lights in one scene.
Yeah, and then there's another scene where it's not as bad, but it's still...
Yeah, that other scene, I know what you're talking about, and it wasn't as bad at all.
But it's still there.
So if you have epilepsy, be warned.
Yeah.
If you see flashing lights, close your eyes for a brief moment. So you don't have a seizure. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that to be joking or mean. I'm just saying there is that warning in there. So be aware of that.
Be aware of that because, it hasn't been getting
I'm sure
coverage.
The 4-year-olds love that because it's very stimulating to have those flashy black and white lights in your face right there. Mm-hmm. But the adults, it was like, whoa, okay. And it's very bright across the screen. I mean, they light up the entire screen with it.
But, I'd suggest seeing it in the theater. If anything, just to hear the score going through the speakers, because it's fantastic. Yeah. It's just fun and great, and I love this movie.
Yeah, and the score was written by Michael
Giacchino.
Giacchino. See, I can never get the guy's name right. He does a lot of movie scores, and he does them for action movies as well. Mm-hmm. In fact, you look on TV, he's got scores everywhere. Mm-hmm. And he does a brilliant score for this, where it's that jazzy 1950s, 1960s groove, but in a modern way. Mm-hmm. So, brilliant scoring on that one.
So,
So overall, really liked it, and go see it in the theaters. Yeah, I agree. I've seen it twice in the theater. You've seen it 3 times in the theater. Definitely going to get a digital copy, Blu-ray, whatever, when it comes out, because that's a good film.
Really good.
It's a keeper.
All right, so we're gonna get into spoilers. So this is your spoiler warning.
Spoiler alert. That's just me going. Okay.
So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. Let's get into it.
Da-da-da-da-da.
So the one I want to talk about first is the villain, Screenslaver.
Yeah, Screenslaver. Okay. So there's 2 villains in this film. There's the villain and the villain behind the villain.
And then there's Underminer for 5 seconds.
I loved Underminer. Underminer comes in, played by John Ratzenberger, and he's the same villain from the first one. So it picks up in the parking lot with him coming out with his big drill machine and sets in motion the whole film.
Yeah.
He's a good character. He shows up for the first 10, 15 minutes, and then he's gone.
Yeah, it's not even that, because, like, the drill is there for that long.
That's true, the
but
drill's
he
there.
just escapes
He takes off. He robs a bank, gets some money, and disappears.
in, like, 5 minutes, and it's like, oh, come on.
Yeah, I know you, when we went into this, and you've recorded this on a previous podcast, you wanted more of him.
Yeah, it's like, I just need something. And I liked what he did, and then he turned out just to rob a bank. I cried a little. That's not true. I was sad.
But he did use his drill to also destroy half the city.
Yeah, but I mean...
Even though he wasn't around for that.
But he's such a, like, just a weird character. I just want to see more of him.
Yeah, he's kind of the General Grievous in this thing, because he comes back and there's a point where he says, meet my jackhammer. And it's
it's so incredible.
If you look at his
jackhammer,
yeah,
it's just...
If you look at his hands, they're like metal claws, kind of.
A little bit.
And then he has one of them that's like on a hydraulic, and so he's punching Mr. Incredible going, meet Jackhammer. And I'm like, what is this guy made of? So he's got some interesting backstory where he's part robotic or something. I don't know what he's made of.
Or he's got like these gauntlets or something.
Yeah, whatever those are. There's something going on with this guy where it's like, what is his backstory? He's a weird little dude.
And he's kind of really agile for a short, fat man.
Yeah, who appears to be blind. I mean, he
like
comes
a
out
mole guy.
and he's kind of a mole guy.
It's like, who is this guy?
Villain number 1, I liked him.
Underminer's great.
Glad they brought him back. Glad they picked it up right where they left off. So it wasn't just 5 years later, we gloss over the Underminer and things are going this way. No, they did a good job of just picking it up with him busting through that parking lot at the end of the first film. Yes, the animation's better. Everything's different. We'd already talked about that. But it's good to see him back in action.
Yeah. And if they do it in Incredibles 3, please bring back my Underminer.
Okay, Brad, you hear that? We want to see more of the Underminer.
He's awesome. But anyway, back to the main villain.
Okay, the main villain is the Screenslaver.
Mm-hmm.
And so what he does is he uses technology to enslave people through hypnotism.
Mm-hmm.
So as we already said,
screens.
This is a big spoiler. So if you've got a TV screen, tablet, cell phone,
glasses,
yeah, he can pretty much take them over if you're looking at a screen.
Yeah.
And I like the way they did that. I like the hypnotism of that.
Mm-hmm.
But then that villain ended up being
a pizza delivery guy.
Well, I wasn't going to say. I was going to say a pawn for somebody else.
Oh, yeah, well, a pizza delivery pawn.
And so when you see him, there's that clue to look for the Pizza Planet truck, because he's a pizza delivery guy.
He is.
Okay, that's the only spoiler I've got for that. I like the concept, especially with the first dramatic action with Elastigirl.
Mm-hmm. With the train chase?
I'm trying not to spoil this.
We're in the spoiler section.
Yes, the train chase, and then that's when we're first introduced to the Screenslaver. But right from the get-go, you think something's up. So you know that he's not the main villain, even though he's a secondary main villain. I don't know, he has as much screen time as the other villain. Mm-hmm. Yes, I liked him. It turns out that he was hypnotized to become somebody who hypnotizes people. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was an interesting twist. But I did like his character. Mm-hmm. I could tell somebody else was manipulating that, though.
Yeah. And then the other villain is a little obvious because I'm watching it in the theater, and my sister leans over. It's like, oh, I'm pretty sure that the bad guy.
Yeah.
I'm like 99% sure that's the bad guy right there.
Yeah, and it turns out she was right.
Yeah.
So look for that. There's another villain, obviously, and it's predictable.
But it's also a good villain, and they
have their own motives.
They have their own motive. It's not the strongest motive.
No, but it makes sense.
But
it's
it
logical.
makes sense.
It is a logical villain, and the reason they're doing things is not for their own personal gain, which you don't get with a lot of villains. Usually it's, I'm going to take over the world. I'm the super bad guy, like Syndrome.
Yeah.
And this one is more motivated by who the superheroes are and how to take care of them once and for all, basically. So I like that twist. It's a more human twist on your average villain. It's like you don't have to go to super evil medical school to be an evil doctor, you know? You don't have to this is an intelligent person who's chosen to not like superheroes.
And then doesn't want to do it for their personal gain, but thinks they're helping everyone else by doing this.
Right, yeah. This is better for humanity kind of thing. So again, the motives are good, but it is predictable.
And then really quick on the screenslaver, there's a really interesting scene. There's like an action-ish scene. Elastigirl's hunting down the screenslaver, and he's having this speech over the news, and it's really hard to pay attention to that, but that's what his speech is about, is how we're all distracted by screens.
Oh, yeah.
And it's hard to tell what he's saying because you're distracted by this chase that's happening on the screen, and it's amazing, and just some good writing, and it's like, you're the best, Brad Bird.
Yeah.
And
he's kind of like, get out there and live your life and stop being a slave to screens. But that screens are everywhere. I mean, we've got touch screens in cars now for navigation systems and entertainment, as well as having your iPhones, your pads, your computer systems. We rely on technology and screens a lot, and they point that out. So that,
But then they keep it in the era as well, which is really interesting.
Yeah.
So, villain is good, but again, I like Syndrome a little better.
Okay, well, that makes sense. And I like the villain in this. I like 3 of the villains. Since we're talking 3, I'm thinking, there's only 2. No, it's because Undermine is not there very long. But yeah, they're all good villains.
Yeah.
They're all bad villains that I like. There we go.
Next point I want to talk about, they introduced some new superheroes in this one. How did you feel about them?
That was a little weird, but understandable. Again, most of the new people are young, except for one who's really old. So they grew up because it's been 15 years since the ban, since superheroes were put underground.
Yeah.
So they grew up having powers, not being able to develop them, is what I got from it. I mean, some of them, they kind of play with it a little bit and say, well, here's my power, but they haven't been trained in any way. There's no government facility that says, we're going to take in the superhero, or they've got a mentor that's another superhero. Because in the first film, we got to see that Elastigirl and Mr. Incredible, they played off each other, and then Frozone was the best friend. So they got to work together and develop their skills and join forces eventually. Yeah. But they all worked individually. This other new group hasn't had that opportunity. And so they're a little goofy, they're a little weird, they've got unique style, but that's why. It's because they're not practiced in their powers.
And they have a scene with one of them towards the end of the film where you really get a sense that they are not experienced with their powers.
No, they're not.
Because, we're in spoilers. Her name's Void. She makes portals, and she's just throwing them everywhere, just trying to get Elastigirl to this place. And it's like she's bouncing everywhere, going like, just.
It's like, I missed that portal.
Focus over here.
Yeah. And it's like, I know how to do this, but I haven't trained to target anything.
Yeah, enough to like get it where I need it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a fun scene where it's just like, and we're going here, and then we're over here.
Yeah, and again, it made sense to me. Because, as I just said, they haven't had training, they've been underground, they're coming out now, and they're like, oh, okay, is it safe? Somebody found us, and they're kind of taking care of us, but we haven't had the training. We definitely haven't had a superhero mentor to say, okay, when you get in battle, you need to know this, 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 and this. It's like, I've got a power. How do I use that?
Yeah.
So I thought it played well on screen.
So Void was probably the best developed one, and everyone else is just kind of there.
Screech was so freaking
and weird.
He was weird, and then
Yeah, there's like an owl guy.
Reflux was really crazy. I didn't like him at all.
Medical conditioner superpower. It's your
Or
pick.
decide, yeah. That's the old guy.
It's just
So
I don't know how to feel about him.
Yeah, it's a weird thing. But again, that's what they chose to do, and I like that. I also love that Bob Odenkirk is in this.
Yeah.
He's a good actor. I like him as an actor, and his character is so Bob Odenkirk.
It kind of looks like him too.
It looks like him a little bit. He's a little bit over the top, but he's a nice guy who's well-meaning, and I like that about him. I thought he did a great job in there. All the cast did.
So I don't really have any other points to talk about besides favorite scenes. Is there anything you want to bring up before we just kind of talk about a couple of our favorite parts?
No, I'm good. We
All right.
covered it, right?
Yeah. So yeah, the Underminer chase at the beginning is great, and I really love it.
I like the motorcycle chase. They give Elastigirl a new motorcycle, and apparently they mention that she's had one in the past. Mm-hmm. But this bike is so cool because it splits apart, and then she's the one that keeps it together with her elasticity.
Yeah.
So she can do extra special stunts with it.
Yeah, like do jumps over traffic and things.
Yeah. And I thought that was a really cool scene where she's chasing the train on her bike. And it's just like, whoa, the bike can split? Whoa,
Yeah.
okay, it's back together again because she can stretch and pull it apart and put it back together.
And then there's also some really hilarious and fun scenes with Bob parenting. And
Yeah.
that whole part.
I have to say my favorite scene with that is the raccoon scene.
Yeah.
And every time I get to the end of the film, I forget that it's in there. And then in the credits, you see this little...
Yeah, they have like
cartoon
the little
blob of the
pictures.
cartoon. Yeah. And I'm like, oh yeah, the raccoon. The raccoon and the baby is the coolest scene ever where they're having a fight.
The best is with the lawn chair, and they just burst in the flame.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome. There's definitely a... What is it? The nemesis relationship there.
Yeah.
Yeah. A baby and a raccoon fighting. It's awesome.
And then Violet has some funny scenes with her boyfriend Troubles.
Yeah. Because she's a teenager and she has to have boy troubles.
With the happy platter.
And then Bob trying to figure out how to save that relationship or something. Trying to be a good dad.
So yeah, in all, it's a really good movie.
It is. It's got something for everyone. And if you don't care about saying crap, damn, and hell, take your 4-year-old. And if you do care about that, don't take your 4-year-old. Take a date. It's a good date movie.
I can see
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. All right.
All right. So we're moving on to our next point. You're nailing it today. You're doing
good.
great.
All right. It feels like I've been saying a lot, and we're covering large volumes of
We are.
information here.
So the other sequel that we have seen is Jurassic World 2.
Jurassic World 2.
Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah. That
It
one
is-
surprised me. That one did not have the plot that I thought it was going to have, which
Yeah.
is a good surprise.
Even with the trailer kind of spoiling most of the movie.
Yes, the trailer's like, oh no, the island's going to explode. We have to get people off. We have to get all the dinosaurs off because we've saved this endangered species. Well, it's extinct species.
Yeah.
Now we have to save them from extinction yet again.
And you just went over the synopsis, so good.
There it is. And
This is your plot.
Ian Malcolm, played by Jeff Goldblum, shows up at the beginning to advocate at a Senate hearing should the government get involved and save these dinosaurs. And his point is, no, they shouldn't. Again, he's with chaos theory, so he makes the valid point of they were chosen for extinction once. We were wrong and brought them back to life. The island's going to explode because of volcanic activity, so they're being chosen for extinction again. He makes a valid point. And then he's also thinking, plus, where else are you going to put him?
Yeah.
And that's where we get our conundrum. So
there you go.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting that InGen wasn't involved in this.
Yeah, not really.
Because when we left off, Dr. Wu was taking dinosaur DNA and all his samples and little whatever specimen.
Because InGen put him on a helicopter. He's like, is our deal still good?
And so they were going to take him away and take care of him, and we know that he was going to continue to develop dinosaurs. But that's not where it picks up in this one.
No, he
does show up.
He's doing different things with dinosaurs.
Yeah, but he's doing private research for some billionaire who was partnered with Hammond at one time.
Yeah.
And when we know that Hammond created the first island, he's the one that built Jurassic Park in the very first film back in 92.
93.
93. I was so close. Not bad for not looking it up.
Not bad. I'm sorry.
It's okay. Yeah. So anyway, it turns out this guy we've never heard of is his business partner and financial backer.
Yeah.
And so he is now philanthropist and says, I'm going to go save these dinosaurs. I will privately fund an expedition to go and bring these dinosaurs safely to a new location. Mm-hmm. And the plan is to put them on a new island, leave them completely alone. Don't tell anybody they're there. No government interference. No visitors. No tourism. We just let the animals live in peace.
Yeah. So pretty much move them to the site B. That's
Except
no one says, let's go to the other island we have set up.
Yeah, we just know that there's an island. They don't actually mention the name of it.
No, they don't.
It's just like, not tell anybody. We're just going to save lives, and that's it. And
this island. It's like, is that site B? Is that what they're hinting at?
Maybe it is. I don't know. Anyway, he's a philanthropist. Boy, there's a big word. He's a philanthropist. Still tripping over my tongue.
His name is Phil.
Phil the philanthropist. Hey, I got it right that time.
Sort of.
So he wants to preserve the animals, and that's where we get into conflict, because he's an old man and he's got some health issues.
So compared to the other 4 in this series, where do you think you'd rank this? Because I'm putting it like right in the middle.
Yeah, I put it below the first Jurassic World, but definitely above 2 and 3.
See, it's kind of even with 2 for me.
2 was a good one. 3 was just not necessary. 3 is the one where they take the airplane and they take Dr. Grant and they go back to the island to find the kid who was parasailing
in the restricted zone, and it's just...
Yeah, it's like, your kid's dead. But hey, here we are 6 weeks later thinking, he must be alive. I'm going to go save him and take this little expedition and kill everybody.
That's a movie for another day.
It is a movie for another day. So this one ranks definitely above that one.
Mm-hmm. See, so I'm like, Park, World, 2 and this one are like right there.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Bottom of the pile is 3. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think I like this one. Well, you know what? I watched 2 recently. That's the one all about the raptors. That was a great film. This one... Yeah, I'd say it's even with that. Mm-hmm. It's hard to say which one's better. I like Chris Pratt better. So casting, I like the cast in Jurassic World.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they introduced some new characters into this one. They were fine.
Yeah, they were fine.
I have no problems with them.
Well, again, to make a typical film, you've got to have a villain. And so when you're pulling these dinosaurs off the island... There's a villain who has his own plan for what should happen to the animals.
Oh, I was talking about, like, the sidekicks.
Oh, the sidekick. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So there is a weird thing with sidekicks, because one of them, who's the tech guru, he shows up, and then it's like they weren't sure what to do with him, and so we forgot about him for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then he shows up
like in the middle of the movie. They just drop him?
Yeah.
And then he comes back up at the end like, I'm still here.
Yeah.
And then they do that with the other sidekick, Doctor, as well.
Yeah, she's a veterinarian. And they pick her up and they drop her off. Hers was a more natural showing up again, though.
Yeah. She just kind of pops up.
She had spaces where she could fit into the film.
And he just pops
up.
But
the IT guy just shows up. Yeah, it's like, why did we bring this guy with us? Who's
because he needed to do the thing.
Yeah.
Possible spoiler, so I'm not gonna.
He had to do the IT thing that he needed to do.
He had to do the IT.
So yeah, he's a goofball of a character. He's definitely comic relief.
Yeah.
And every time you see him, you're like, oh yeah, I'd forgotten all about that character, and yet there he is again. And so you kind of laugh, and you're like, hey, he's still alive. That's awesome. Because you've forgotten where he went. Mm-hmm. You don't know if he was captured or killed or whatever. And then he pops up, and you're like, oh, hey, cool, he's still alive. Yeah. Awesome. I'd forgotten he existed. Twice I forgot he existed.
But it's like, he's fine. I feel like they just need more development for these characters.
Yeah.
And give them more of a motive.
He should have his own film with his own side story where it's like, this is what I was doing while the action was going on over here. It could be a short film, but in fact, we mentioned that afterwards. Yeah. It's like when they do the DVD release, we need something with him doing a short film.
Just going like, where were you when you...
Yeah, it's like he's just running around
screaming like an idiot
trying to
or
blend
something.
in and getting different disguises so he doesn't get caught and killed. Or eaten by something.
Mm-hmm. It's just...
Yeah. But he is a fun little character.
Mm-hmm. The action in this movie is fun. They do some different things, which I don't want to
They had some crazy stunts.
Uh-huh.
Some crazy, crazy stunts. In the trailer, there is a scene with a T-Rex that's asleep.
Yeah.
And then they open the door and they kind of look in and it's like, wow, there's a T-Rex.
And then it shows them like jump through the mouth of it.
Yeah.
To get out.
He's get out because Owen gets stuck in there, Chris Pratt's character. Mm-hmm. That is an amazing scene. Mm-hmm. And the reason he's in there is an amazing thing. But that's a spoiler, so I'm going to leave that alone. Sure. But yeah, the filming with the dinosaurs, I think the combination of CGI and the animatronics did really well.
They blend super well. Yeah. Yeah, because CGI is at that point now where it's really hard to tell. Like, you can tell it's off, but you can't at the same time.
Yeah, when he jumps through the dinosaur's mouth, you're like, that has to be CGI because it looks so weird, and it goes quick.
Mm-hmm. But at the same time,
you're like
it's
on
just,
the edge of your
when
seat.
it's just resting there, it looks so real.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's an animatronic one. I know they did that in the very first film.
Yeah.
With the Triceratops and I want to say Grant, Dr. Grant. He leans on it and it's breathing, and it's like, yeah, that's an animatronic animal. I thought it was an elephant or something in real life, and it may have been, but I think it's animatronic, and they have a bladder that they pump air into, and it breathes. And they've done a really nice job with that throughout the whole thing, even from 93 up until present day 2018.
That scene has actually become a meme where they take Alan Grant like raising up and you put him on shirtless, he and Malcolm, so then he breathes and then Alan Grant's like
okay, that's creepy.
It's really creepy but kind of funny.
I can see that meme.
Do you have any other non-spoilers?
Non-spoilers. I wanted to see more of Ian Malcolm.
Yeah. He's only been there for a few minutes, which I get.
He's advocating to say these animals need to die. So he shows up at the beginning of the film. He shows up at the end of the film. I was hoping he would show up in the middle of the film somewhere.
But it would be weird having him with the action.
It would have been weird having him with the action. I agree. but going into it, not knowing anything about it, I was hoping to see more of him. Mm-hmm. Because he does such a great job.
Because it's Goldblum. It's my boy Goldblum.
Exactly. And in Ragnarok, Thor Ragnarok, he was incredible. He was such a fun character. And I was like, yes, he's more serious as Malcolm, as Dr. Malcolm. But I want more of that Goldblum. I want more of that. And he's just sitting in his chair at a Senate hearing.
Takes a sip of
being
water.
Very serious. And it's like, dude, no, get out there, do something crazy, and then come back, you know? So that's the thing I thought it was lacking. I don't know where you could have fit it in.
Yeah, I don't know.
It logically doesn't make any sense to stick him anywhere.
Because this movie's already 2.5 hours.
And again, the pacing was really good. It kept going. I wasn't sitting there going, oh, I'm bored now. What else is going to happen? You know, it was action, action, action.
I felt a little bored at the beginning of the movie. Like, before they get to the island,
there's some exposition.
There's some exposition. Yeah. It's probably only like 15 minutes, but it kind of drags a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm older than you. I've come to expect that in films.
No, I was. You can't. I expected it, but it was just like it would just seem weirdly paced to me.
Okay,
they did, but
I can get there. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, they were introducing characters, and you're like, who are these people? Mm-hmm. Why do I care about them?
Yeah.
Oh, they're going to make a difference later on. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the setup was kind of slow. I get where you're coming from, but I think it was necessary.
Okay. Yeah, I can get that. So, final rating, I guess, for this one. I'd put it at like a 6 or a 7.
Yeah, I was going to say 7 off the top of my head. Mm-hmm. It's a good film. It's a fun film. It's not the greatest film ever made.
Mm-hmm. It has some problems, but it's a fun dinosaur movie, and that's kind of what these movies are.
Yeah,
I don't need them to be super serious.
Right. I'm waiting for the How It Should Have Ended to come out, because they're going to make fun of all the things I made.
Yeah.
And that does take me into a spoiler, so I'm going to leave it
Well,
there. But
yeah.
the How It Should Have Ended, they're going to point out some things that I said, well, wait a minute, why didn't they just do this?
Mm-hmm.
And so that would have made a lot more sense to me. But no, we don't do things in a logical order.
Yeah. We'll get more into that with spoilers.
Yeah.
If you want to, you can see it in the theater. It's cool to see these dinosaurs on the big screen.
It is.
Um,
And the exploding volcano, I mean, CGI on that was done really well. You've got lava flowing everywhere. You've got rocks flying through the air. And, of course, you've got the dinosaurs running. All of that is CGI, and it was really well done.
Yeah. So I'd say if you're a fan of these movies, then yeah, you'll probably want to see it in theaters. If not, then I'd say like a DVD or a Blu-ray would be fine.
Yeah, Redbox it.
Yeah.
Or wait for it to come out on Netflix in 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Either of those options. But if you're a fan of the series, I'd say you enjoy parts of it. A lot of it.
Yeah, I was just going to throw in a disclaimer here that Redbox and Netflix are not sponsoring us.
Oh, yeah. Make sure we do. This is not sponsored in any way, shape, or form.
By Redbox or Netflix.
Or
Thanks
by
for
anyone.
watching. Or by anyone.
We're two lonely guys.
But I'm not lonely. But if you'd like to sponsor us, we're open to that. Because I watch Netflix all the time. Not sponsored. Okay, go ahead. I had to get that in there.
So we're moving on to spoilers, I guess. Any last thoughts?
I like that they brought back I was going to say original cast, but it's the original cast of Jurassic World. Mm-hmm. So Chris Pratt's in it, and Bryce Dallas Howard is in it, and they're the two main characters. Everybody else dies, right? So let me think, who shows up at the end? Oh, the boys. They don't show up.
Yeah,
because they're her nephews, and there's no reason for them to show up. Mm-hmm. But that casting, I like that those two characters are back again. We see that they had a relationship at the end of the first film. That obviously doesn't work out, and they brought that up in the new film and said, this guy's relationship, which you could tell it wasn't a stable relationship anyway.
Yeah.
So getting them back together, it was quirky, it was good, and they didn't want to see each other. I like that they put that in there. Mm-hmm. Because she's like, no, there's no way these guys are still together.
All right. I think we're going to move into spoilers.
All right. It's spoiler time. And I'm going to do it again.
Okay, cool.
And spoiler alert, spoiler alert. Okay.
So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get into spoilers.
Okay, so they introduce a new dinosaur into this one.
Yes, they do.
They like to do that. And what they've done is they mixed the big white camouflagey Indominus Rex with a raptor, and they've geneticized it down.
Yeah.
So it's smaller, it's sleeker, it's stealthier, and I think it's meaner.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, we're gonna train it. We're gonna have Blue, one of the raptors, take care of it.
It's gonna be a mother and a mentor.
Yeah,
kind of what they were thinking.
Because raptors are compassionate this time around.
Well, Blue's compassionate. This thing, they're calling it the Indoraptor, because it's part Indominus Rex, part raptor. So it's larger than a regular raptor. They say it's very sleek. It's a really cool looking dinosaur, but
it's
vicious
faster.
as all get out.
It's tougher, and they're trying to find ways to train it.
They want to weaponize it. They want to
for
turn
military
it into a military use. Yeah. So I love they did the thing with the cat. So it's like, all right, if we get a laser pointer, we can have this dinosaur chase the laser pointer. We'll laser point the target, and it will kill, eat, destroy whatever we point at.
But it's kind of funny, because it's like if you're in a position to laser point your target,
you could just shoot.
You could just shoot them, unless I guess if it's like a truck or a tank.
Well,
But then why would you send the
Yeah, but my thinking on this is you can put a laser pointer from a drone. So you can send a drone plane in and have the Raptor on the ground, and you release the Raptor, and then your drone can pinpoint the thing. Mm-hmm. And then boom,
or get it close enough to the target.
Yeah, they call it painting the target. And traditionally, you have a small army squadron that goes out, 5 guys or so, and one of them has a laser pointer so that the bomber can come in, and that'll laser guide the bomb right into where it's going.
Yeah, but
so you do need somebody on the ground typically.
A bomb, not a dinosaur.
I know. And the dinosaur will do less damage to buildings and more damage to people.
Theoretically.
I think it's just a vicious way of killing. It's not strategic at all.
It's more like just send a message like, I got a dinosaur.
Yeah. And so, spoiler number 2, they bring the dinosaurs off the island, and the villain shows up. He is the executive assistant.
Yeah,
I guess
he's like the guy in charge because the philanthropist,
the old guy, Lockwood. Yeah,
he's dying. He's old. He's bedridden. He can't do much. So he has this assistant taking care of his business.
And the assistant decides he wants to get rich by selling the dinosaurs that they're supposed to be rescuing. So he has an auction, really lame, at his house. And it's a giant mansion.
Yeah. So it's like they go into the basement. They have this auction ready to go. And it's like, it's kind of funny because the dinosaurs, like at most, win at like $20 million each.
Yeah.
And it's
like, well, it costs more than that to develop.
It cost more than that because they said the Indominus Rex was like $2 billion.
Well, they're like, it's like $150 million to develop this thing, and that's why they had T-Mobile or somebody sponsoring it. Again, not a sponsor of our program. But they were like, T-Mobile brings you the Indominus Rex, or whoever it was. I can't remember.
I think it was that.
But it was some cell phone company. I remember that.
It might have been Verizon.
Yeah.
Again, not sponsor.
Might have been Verizon. So they developed this thing for $150 million. They're trying to get their money back by having a corporate sponsor. And then this guy in his basement is building this thing. So it's going to cost him, again, that much money in research and development.
Yeah.
And then they turn around and they auction the animal off for $20 million. And I'm like, well, that's a big loss leader there.
But then he looks so happy and excited, like, look how much money I'm making. It's like, but you're not.
Yeah, this guy hasn't thought it through. Now, he is using the billionaire boss's money to fund his research and development.
Fair point. Okay, yeah.
And then he's taking that money himself. So he hasn't put a dime into it. And he wants to make his own money and get out. But the dumb thing is, this guy who has him running all his companies is probably paying him a couple of million a year in salary.
Yeah.
and when he dies, he will probably turn it over to him. Because he has an heir who's a little girl who's like 8.
Yeah.
Or 12 or something. Anyway, she's no older than 12. And sorry, just had something. She's no older than 12 years old. So this guy is going to have to look after her anyway.
Yeah.
And he's bossing the nanny around. And so it's like, dude, until she's of age, 18 to 21, and can take over the company, you're controlling billions of dollars. But he wants hundreds of millions of his own. So it's a weird premise because I'm like, this guy's not seeing the big picture.
No, he's not.
It's like he can totally cut her out, take billions for himself, and siphon it off. But he doesn't. He's I need my own $100 million so I can go retire somewhere. Or whatever his plan is. It's a weird plan.
See, it's a weird plan, and the mansion stuff is kind of weird. But at the same time, it has some of the best scenes in the movie.
It does, yeah.
Because they have this incredible hunt through the mansion with the Indoraptor just hunting down everyone. And it's terrifying, and it's so well shot, and it's amazing.
Yeah. And this thing, because it's a raptor, it's agile. It can run, it can jump, it can climb.
So it's like sniffing people down. It's climbing on rooftops. It's like jumping through windows, going like, surprise!
Yeah. And it's really cool. Mm-hmm. That was one of the best scenes in the movie, I think.
Mm-hmm. It's just...
was that chase down, and then they used the laser pointer on it. Yeah, that was a really good scene.
Yeah, it's like... So the mansion... It's weird. There's some weird stuff.
Well, they've got a lab in the basement, and then they've got a sub-basement with all the cages for the dinosaurs. So when they bring them off the island that's exploding, they put them in the basement.
Yeah.
And then because all the havoc happens and everything goes crazy, again, we're in spoilers, the basement gets flooded with cyanide gas, which is going to kill them.
Because the Indoraptors...
Somebody shot at it or something.
Yeah, like the Indoraptors escaped. People are panicking. There's people, like, they see Owen, I think, in the basement, so they start shooting at him.
And they hit these gas tanks, and so there's gas leaking everywhere, and it's hydrogen chloride or something. It's nasty stuff.
So that's happening in the basement, and they can't forget about that while we're doing this awesome chase.
Yeah, so it's like, we got to save our own skins. We can't worry about the dinosaurs. And then they do worry about the dinosaurs, and it's like, well, should we let them out of their cages? Because the air conditioning also got jacked up.
Yeah, because they
how that happened, I don't know. It's like somebody shot a control panel.
It blew up everything.
But the actual units that vent the gas, they're still workable. So
but the system's
get
down.
in there and just open a vent. Oh, we can't do it electronically. We rely too much. See, it's back to The Incredibles. Too many screens.
Too many screens, man.
So So they have to vent the gas, and they're like, oh, all these animals are going to die after we just rescued them. So what do? Do we let them out, or do we keep them in? So
they go down there, and then Claire's like, oh, I have an override. Let's unlock all the cages, because we didn't think this through.
Mm-hmm.
Unlock. So all the dinosaurs are now out in this gas cloud, but now they're all squished together in this hallway, going like, great, this is even worse.
Yeah, now we're cramped from fighting for oxygen that we can't have because there's too many of us.
And they're like, oh no, what do we do? There's the big release button.
So we open the main door to get outside.
And it's like, do we press the button or no? And now we're back to the dilemma of, do the dinosaurs die or not?
Yeah. And of course, they're watching through protected glass, so they're not hurt. The heroes aren't in danger in any way.
Yeah, it's just, do we save the dinosaurs, but release them into the world?
I mean, they could have broken a window in the room they were in and put on gas masks because they were available. They could have put on gas masks, broken a window, and let some of that gas vent out to save the dinosaurs and keep them in that room.
Or press the main door button. Like, look at your controls, see what you can do.
Yeah.
And open the main door before we unleash all.
But in typical Claire fashion, because she's the one that screwed it up the first time, instead of saying, okay, and I'm going back to Jurassic World, the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, hey, let's plant that tracker in the dinosaur, let's call back to headquarters, the command post, whatever it's called, and have them tell me where that dinosaur is. Oh, it's still in its cage. No, let's open the door, send a couple of people in.
And then I'll drive away.
I'll drive away, call on my phone, and when I get to where I'm going, then I'll have them turn on the tracker instead of calling them and saying, could you just turn that tracker on and tell me if it's still in its cage, in its sanctuary?
Yeah.
No, she doesn't do that. She doesn't think ahead. So naturally, she does the same thing in this one. She opens all the doors, lets all the dinosaurs into one mass area.
And then it's like, I can't let them out. And then the little 8 or 12-year-old presses the button.
She lets him out. So now these California dinosaurs, because we're in Northern California, I was going to say, all these dinosaurs are now in Northern California, spreading out into the world, and that's how the film ends. They do get the fresh air, but I'm thinking in my mind, if that door could open, why weren't they left in their cages, open that door, vent in some fresh air? Yes, the gas wouldn't dissipate, but at least there'd be fresh air coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe these animals would pass out, be in a coma for a little bit, but you could get the gas out at that point, and you could save the animals.
But I think the big point is that they wanted to set up this third one, because the director of Jurassic World, the first one, and he's going to be directing Jurassic World 3, said Jurassic World 3 is the one that I wanted to make from the beginning. But Universal said I had to make a trilogy.
Oh, okay.
So he made Jurassic World, and then he wrote this one, so he could get to 3 where he wants to be.
Okay, so we're looking forward to that in another, 3 years?
Yeah.
Well, it won't even be that long, but CGI and editing,
probably
3 years.
It was 3 years between the first World and this one.
Okay. Yeah, so there's your big spoiler alert. Claire should push a button, but she doesn't think, so she pushes the wrong button and then has to push the button anyway. It's like, okay. But it is a lot of fun. I like the scenes. There's a lot of hiding out from the team that's taking animals off the island for their own purpose to sell them. So we have 2 villains there, because I know we're coming up on villains.
Yeah.
So there's the main hunter in charge of the expedition guy.
He's an
idiot.
idiot.
And then there's his boss, who is the executive corporate guy
Who's also an idiot.
who's running the company for the billionaire. So there's two villains there. The hunter guy, I love him. He's awesome because he's such a badass. Oh, can I say that?
Sure.
Okay, well I did. Otherwise, but he's a dork about it. He's your typical white hunter. It's like, I've been to Africa. His whole thing, and it gets him in trouble throughout the film, is collecting teeth of the animals he captures.
Uh-huh.
And it's
He's
like,
like, I'm hunting dinosaurs.
It's like, what the crap are you doing, dude? And he shows up with a pair of pliers after the dinosaur's been tranquilized and then pulls one of its teeth out. Mm-hmm. So he's like, oh, you're going to feel that when you wake up. And it's like, yeah, and I'm going to want to kill somebody. And that ends up being his demise, because he wants to make a necklace out of dinosaur teeth. I don't know what kind of weirdo that is, but
yeah,
that's what he wants to do. And outside of that, I like him as a character. He comes across as being the good guy, but he has his own selfish intentions. And of course, they're going to bribe him and give him extra money and bonuses for getting Blue, the raptor, off the island.
Yeah, because they need a mother.
Yeah.
There's one more point I want to talk about before we get into our favorite scenes.
Yeah.
Maisie is the name of the 8 or 12-year-old, and then
she's a little girl.
Yeah, she has a twist towards the end.
She does.
That was weird.
Yeah, I thought so too. And that they said that's the reason that Hammond and this Lockwood guy were no longer business partners.
Mm-hmm.
Because they developed DNA technology to clone dinosaurs. And Lockwood, big spoiler.
Yeah, here we go.
Here we go. Okay, so
Rip the Band-Aid.
Lockwood cloned his daughter who had died in a car accident. And it turns out that Maisie is actually the clone. But she's growing up naturally as a little girl, going through her adolescence and everything, and she will develop, unlike in Clone Wars where we can stimulate the growth, and they do that to the dinosaurs too in some cases.
Yeah.
They make them bigger and give them hormones to make them grow. She's growing and developing naturally as a little girl.
Mm-hmm. And then they just say that she is the grandchild.
Yeah, they just call her a grandchild, and it's like, well, where's her dad? I kept thinking that the whole time. Where's her dad? Where's her dad? Because her mom got killed in the car accident. Mm-hmm. And then they finally reveal, oh, she's a clone. She doesn't have a dad.
But they reveal it at the weirdest point, too. Because they're escaping. So Claire, Owen, the girl, I think this is after they defeat the Indoraptor. They're running away. And then the business guy shows up. It's like, you can't take care of her. She's my responsibility. And it's like, well, but you're evil. And he's like, but she's a clone.
Yeah, she's property of the company or whatever.
And then they're like, what?
and so Maisie is the one who makes the decision to open the big door and let the dinosaurs out.
Because it's like, oh, we're clones together.
Yeah, so she's bonded that way over the dinosaurs. Yeah, I thought it was a weird twist. And they said that this is what broke them apart because they used genetic DNA, whatever, cloning to create a human being. And that's when Hammond said, whoa, no, this is bad. It's like he's out there cloning dinosaurs and whatever the crap he wants and making all kinds of mutations. But hey, let's draw the line ethically when we get to human beings and replacing the ones we've lost. Yeah, that was a little weird twist for me.
Yeah.
With Hammond's ethics.
So the movie has some weird logic at times. But it's still just a fun dinosaur movie, and I don't know when these things have ever had sound logic. Like, do you remember any of these Jurassic Park movies having any kind of sound logic in them?
No, even in the first one. In the opening scene, you've got the raptors being put into their pen.
And there's no walking. There's
bring up the cage, yeah, and it's like, all right, we've put it in place, now open the gate, and then the raptor pushes the cage away. It's like, why didn't you lock it in place, make sure
or have like
safe?
An airlock or anything?
Something to make sure this raptor can't escape and eat the guy opening the gate. But no, we don't think logically because that's the way it works. It's like, no, it wouldn't be a horror movie if we did that.
That's just the fun of these movies, too. It's like they're not fun if we have to keep putting in these, like, logical barriers. Like, then in that case, we wouldn't have the dinosaurs anyway.
Right.
So it's like, I can get where some of the complaints are coming from, and people are going like, that doesn't make sense. None of these make sense.
They don't. And the third one especially. The second one, why the guy takes the raptor egg with him, knowing full well that the raptors are hunting them.
Or the fact
He
that
keeps the egg, and it's like, what are you going to do with that? You're going to raise it? You're going to sell it? What are you going to do with that if you actually get it off the island?
or the fact that this this vet that's been studying dinosaurs takes care of this baby T-Rex and then gets blood on her and doesn't care to wash that off or
Right.
change or anything.
And she knows for a fact that they're going to smell the blood. And any predator in any situation is going to go, I smell blood. It's like, get rid of the shirt. Put something else on. Please, wash it. There's rivers everywhere.
Do something, but no, they just... It's like,
Yeah.
I get... These movies
And that's in...
are not based on logic. They're based on fun, and this movie has fun.
It does have fun. Now, one of the fun things I really enjoyed was that Owen and Claire have to hide out on the boat to take these dinosaurs back. They get left on the island on purpose.
Yeah.
So it's
They
like...
serve their purpose, they find Blue.
Yeah.
The
the great-
hunting group just leaves them.
They're just like, forget these guys, because they're going to foil our plans to sell these animals. So they leave them on the island to get killed. And they manage to escape, get on the boat, but then they have to hide.
Yeah.
So they're in hiding for half the movie, and that was fun. I like that they're hiding out no matter where they are. It's like, don't, and then they finally get exposed and hunted down again.
I feel like the movie really starts getting good when they get to the island, and it's like, all right, we're hunting down Blue. From there to pretty much the end, it's really good. It's just a lot of fun dinosaur action.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
And explosions and blowing up trucks and knocking things over and shooting at things, and yeah, it's a fun film. It is a fun film.
So, yeah, a couple favorite scenes. Yeah, pretty much the entire sequence on the boat is great.
Yeah, I like the sequence on the boat a lot, and I like the Endoraptor chase with Owen when the Endoraptor gets out of its cage.
Because then that has
That's really
Some-
intense.
some intense moments. It's got some great choreography with movements and things. And it's just a fun fight to watch.
It is, yeah. You're not sure how it's going to end. You know Owen's going to win, and somehow he'll defeat the thing, but you don't know how it's going to happen, and it gets pretty intense.
It's like this thing's chasing them down corridors while they're trying to get through doors. They're like sneaking through the main hall, and then this thing's just bashing into walls, going like, "I know you're over here."
Yeah, it can smell him. It can sense him. Sniffed him out. So yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff, and I think the designs for that raptor. I mean, all the designs are really well done. All the CGI is really well done on these animals. That one is the coolest looking dinosaur ever, though.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, I thought raptors were really cool looking. This thing's a hybrid of that, and it's even cooler looking.
So I think that will wrap it up for our spoiler discussion.
Okay.
Do you have anything else to say?
No, I think we've spoiled everything we can.
Great.
All I can say is not sponsored. No, Verizon, T-Mobile, Netflix, and Redbox. We're not sponsored by any of those. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Final point of the podcast.
Okay.
Upcoming movies for July.
Okay, so we've got Ant-Man and the Wasp. I really want to see that. It's out now.
Yep,
but
just came out.
Haven't had a chance to see it yet. That opened Friday, and it's now doing well in the box office.
It's funny because I saw a review, and someone was like, "It doesn't have the emotional weight of Infinity War." It's like, well, no, duh. This is Ant-Man. The first one's a comedy. This one's a comedy. This isn't gonna be like emotional. The world is ending.
That's what you get with Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd is a comedian. He has been for the last 25 years, and he's going to continue to be a comedian. He's an action hero who is comedic.
It's like, no pun intended, but this is a smaller movie than Infinity War. This
Exactly.
isn't supposed to be world-ending stakes.
Right.
This is just a fun little romp.
Yeah, and
This
in our timeline, this is happening before Infinity War happens.
Yes,
Is that
it's
correct?
after Civil War, before Infinity War.
So we don't know if Ant-Man even survives the Infinity War cleansing, or whatever you want to call that, at the end of the film, with Thanos is like, half the people go bye-bye. We don't know that, and it doesn't matter. It's not relevant to this film.
Yeah,
But it does look like a lot of fun.
it looks great.
I mean, I've seen some things where it's like, oh, well, if you make the guy gigantic, he's going to get crushed under the weight of his own bones, and he won't be able to move very fast. What? I don't care.
I don't. It's
This is
it's
a
a
fun
superhero
action hero
movie. doesn't make any sense, and it's fine.
Yeah, tossing a Pez dispenser at somebody and then blowing up to life size, and I'm not spoiling it because I haven't seen it, and that's
It's
the trailer.
in the trailer. And then, like,
It's
crashing
just like,
a motorcycle.
oh, cool. Or you can shrink your car and go underneath another car and then lift it off the ground by bringing it back. That would probably crush your roof. But in the film, it's fun, and that's what it's supposed to be.
And then Wasp looks like it's going to be great. Like, she's going to be a good hero to work alongside him.
Yeah, and she seems to have lost a lot of her angst for not being Ant-Man in the first one. So
And,
that's good, because she's got more power and more skill.
And then the villain Ghost looks really interesting with, like, the kind of phasing type thing. Is what I'm getting from, like,
I haven't had a lot of exposure to him.
There's only a couple shots of him in the trailer where it's like they just kind of like stand there and then they phase somewhere else. And it's like, that's cool. I want to know what that's about.
Yeah, I've only seen his picture on the poster. I haven't seen anything in
With
the
the
trailers.
cool little mask thing.
Yeah, and at first I was like, hey, it's Squidward from Infinity War. But it's not. It's not. I can see that that's a breathing apparatus and not his face.
Mamma Mia 2, here we go again.
Yeah, that I have no desire to see. I liked the first one. I did see the first one. I do
you
enjoy.
like the Forster?
Well, my point is, I enjoy musicals. So that had a good cast with Meryl Streep and Pierce Brosnan and Skarsgård. I can't remember Skarsgård's first name.
And Colin Firth.
Good casting. The story was just out there.
The story's garbage. No one can sing.
Yeah,
And it looks like a giant ad
there's all the wrong
to
people,
go and just vacation at Greece.
which was a great thing to do. And I've been to Greece. Anyway, different story there. So I'm not excited about this because it looks like a complete remake of the very first film, and all the songs are repeated. There's nothing that they're
It's like they
adding
haven't
to.
learned anything.
I mean, I know ABBA's no longer a band. They're all
they
old
split
now.
up.
So they haven't released anything new, so that's fine. I'm okay with that. But they're rehashing all their songs. They're not bringing in other songs that ABBA has done that were not included in the first film.
Yeah.
They're bringing in the same songs and repeating them.
And
Then the fact that they're bringing in Cher, I do not want to see it.
this thing looks like a train wreck, and I kind of just want to know what people think about it.
Yeah, you can comment below if you really want to. I have no desire to see it.
I don't either. I just wanted to see what your reaction was.
Well, I say, I enjoyed the first one. It was okay.
At
I'm going to give
best.
that a 5 out of 10.
I'd give it less.
You would, but that's okay.
Teen Titans Go to the Movies comes out at the end of the month.
Yeah, I know nothing about that.
It's based off the TV show that not many people like.
The cartoon one,
Yes.
not the computer animated one.
Yeah, okay, so there's two of them. There's like the old one that's really serious and is really good. I really like it.
Okay.
And then there's this newer one where they made like now it's-
Everybody's goofier, and
yeah, everyone's goofy.
yeah.
It's not serious at all.
and this one's based off the goofy one.
Yes.
Yeah, this one you should take your 3-year-old to. This is going to be The Incredibles that you should have been wanting to
But
watch.
it's weird because there's been early reactions on Twitter. I don't know who these people are. I don't know if they're fans of the show or not. But they're all like, this is surprisingly really funny. I had a good time. It was real good. You should see it. And I was like, are you paid to say this? Or I don't know, because I don't know you.
Their show is sponsored by the movie company.
So it's I don't know what to think. Nick Cage is in it. He plays Superman.
Now, Nick Cage is an interesting cat. He either does something really good or completely insane. And the fact that he's in it makes me kind of want to see it, because you never know what you're going to get
I
with
think
Nick
he only
Cage.
has like a short scene, but
He's
he
like
just
a bag of cats. He's just crazy, and you don't know what you're going to get. Since he's playing Superman, he can't go off full crazy. But you never know.
which is a reference to him almost playing Superman.
Yeah, back in the day, he was supposed to play Superman for Christopher Reeve if they were making a fourth one, I think, because he would have been too young to do the original.
No, yeah. So Tim Burton wanted to make a Superman movie called Superman Lives, and
The casting was done. It was Nick
and
Cage.
casting was done. There's concept art of it, and it looks really weird and just
I
out
think
there.
they
'Cause
made him a suit too, didn't they?
yeah, they did.
Yeah.
They have some test screenings where he's just wearing this weird suit. He has a mullet at the time, and he's just sitting there doing like a Superman pose, like his arms are just out, and he's like
Green screening.
woo, like with this cape. It's like, you look like an idiot. This isn't what is
I've got
happening.
no context for it, but yeah. So for him to play Superman, he gets to do that role. That's fun for him.
Mm-hmm. And then Will Arnett is playing Deathstroke.
No, I like Will Arnett, and he does a great Batman voice for the Lego Batman movies.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a fun character too. I mean, he's a funny guy in real life. Again, a comedian. Arrested Development, is where you're going to see him, where he can play serious, but to do it in such a funny way.
Mm-hmm.
And he's so, I guess, melodramatic would be what he is. He's over the top every time. So he's going to play a good villain, I think.
Yeah.
Just because he's Will Arnett and he knows what he's doing, and he's voiced enough for these animated films to pull it off and really get it going. Nick Cage, to his credit, he did voice the Kroogs. Did not like the film, but as far as voice acting goes, he did a good job.
Mm-hmm. So there's that one. I'm just going to wait and see what reviews are saying for that one. I'll probably just rent that sometime.
Yeah, I can wait for that to come out on the streaming channels there. I said it without saying anybody's name. Or I can go rent it at a kiosk somewhere.
An undisclosed kiosk.
Yes, an undisclosed kiosk that happens to be a red in color. And
almost box shaped, if you
will. Or
will.
I can wait for a streaming channel that plays a lot of those type of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that one's not going to be in theaters for me. I'm not wasting my money on that one.
Yeah. And then the last one, the one you were really excited for, Mission Impossible Fallout.
Yeah, Mission Impossible Fallout I am super excited about. I was talking to a guy just this week who was telling me there's a helicopter scene in that there's only one country in the world, in Hungary or somewhere in Eastern Europe, where they allowed them to do this helicopter chase because Tom Cruise is apparently hanging below the helicopter for half of it. And then there's two choppers chasing each other through the mountains. Mm-hmm. It's going to be a really cool scene, going to be very intense. But what I love, and I'm not sure if Brad Bird had anything to do with this film. I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
But he did great for number 4. Number 5 was good, but not quite as good as number 4.
That's not Brad Bird either.
And I'm looking for number 6 to be fantastic. I want that on the same level as that number 4 film, where they're in Dubai and they're climbing up the outside of the building.
So yeah, 6 is directed by the guy that directed 5, Christopher McQuarrie.
And he did a good job. I just thought that the story wasn't quite as good. However, they're following up with the Syndicate on this one. Mm-hmm. So we get to see that villain back again. And apparently he escapes. And then from the trailers, just the action with him on the bike, wrecking it over a car.
Yeah.
After he gets away and has this smug grin on his face, like
I did
got
it!
Away. And then, bam, over the hood of somebody's car.
With him in this helicopter, it's like rolling down a mountain at one point.
Yeah, and then there's the semi-truck. There's the scene with that. It's just
with another helicopter. Yeah, it's like
everything looks intense. We know there's a nuclear bomb involved. They mentioned that in the trailers. If he'd have done his job right, he would have died, but he would have saved the world. Mm-hmm. And so now the CIA's again looks like they're going to renounce him and say.
Which one person, there's some people joking about, it's like, is that just like what they're going to do now from now on? It's just, and he's rogue again.
Yes, he went rogue again.
He went rogue for the 3rd time in a row.
Well, he actually does it in the second movie as well.
And the first one.
Yeah. It's like
and the third one, no. Well.
The third one, he's legitimate.
Yeah.
Because he's hunting down the other guy who did go rogue.
Yes.
Yeah. And so he's legitimate in the third one, and I think that's the only one. Every other time, it's like...
he goes rogue at some point.
You're going to have to... What do they call that? There's a name for it. It's been renounced or something.
Yeah.
It's not redacted. It's... disavowed.
Yeah, I was like, what the flip?
There's a word, and all of you out there are going, it's disavowed, it's disavowed. Just get to it. Just
it's
say
like the
disavowed.
secretary will revoke. It's like,
that's what I'm doing. Revoke your license to kill. No, it doesn't.
It's like I'm just trying to think of what he said.
Yeah. So yeah, for all of you going, just say disavowed.
We got
there.
We got there.
We got to disavowed. And you can comment below and say, I was saying that the whole time you were thinking of it.
That's fine.
So anyway, yeah, I'm really excited about that Mission
super
Impossible
excited.
6. That's going to be an awesome film. I think one of the best films of the summer. And we're going up against Infinity War, which was earlier in the year. Mm-hmm. But I've been looking forward to that. And I'm a big Mission Impossible fan for that whole series.
They're some of the best action movies today.
They
because they get it. Because a lot of the other ones are like have the Jason Bourne effect, where it's like, oh, if you want to make a good action film, you got to have a shaky cam and you got to have quick editing. But Mission Impossible's like, here's a nice long take of a dude climbing a building.
Yeah, which is impossible to do. And the other thing is that Tom Cruise does the majority of his own stunts. In fact, his stuntman, I think he just sits there and eats off the crafting table.
There's a new featurette that Paramount came out with, where it's like what Tom Cruise's stunt double does all day. And it's just him sitting there watching all this crap happening behind him. He's just like, that looks fun.
You get to stand in for the camera takes and the angles, and then when we're actually filming, Tom Cruise steps in and actually does the work.
Yeah.
And he likes doing that. It makes the film more realistic because those close-ups, they didn't just Photoshop his face back in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so it makes it more fun. And in the last film, Ferguson, the girl.
Yeah, she did some of it.
She did some of her own stunts too, and she did the same training for the diving that he did in the last one.
She didn't do the motorcycle chase, but she did do the diving.
Yeah, and so Tom Cruise actually learned how to hold his breath for 6 minutes, and she's right there with him. And it's like, you two are insane. But hey, it makes for good camera work on film, and it makes for a great action movie. So really looking forward to that. You can keep your Titans go to the movies. You can keep Mamma Mia. I'm looking forward to this one. So, yes, this has been our show on sequels, and it seems like that's all we've got this year.
That's all. Yeah, that's what a lot of this is.
I am going to go see Ant-Man and the Wasp probably next week. And
so we'll have that one next month for you guys, as well as Mission
Impossible, because that's opening weekend. I'm sorry, I'm not going to wait very long for that one.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go see that opening
We're
weekend.
excited for that. It's going to be good.
Yeah.
This has been Freezecast. Thank you guys for joining us. That was just my water bottle.
Okay. Something fell. It made a squish sound.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Jared.
And I'm Paul, and this has been so much fun to talk about. Thanks for being here with us.
Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we'll catch you next month.
Bye.
Bye.